Ding, ding.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the June 11th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Now going to ask for someone to make a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. All right. Tonight's meeting agenda. First up, SD Park, 441 Main Street, site plan review waiver. Last meeting, we discussed that we were going to wait on a zoning board decision on their, ask that first, so there has not been a final determination from the zoning board as of yet. Annie, do you want any other updates?
Sure. So at the zoning board meeting last week, the board gave off the vibe that they were overall in favor of moving forward with it. They asked me to put together a draft decision that had essentially like site history going back and explaining the previous permits that had been issued at the site and incorporating those into the potential new decision moving forward, so that, in 10 years from now, folks aren't having to go back, dig through files to understand what happened at this site. It would all be in this one decision, and something that comprehensive is obviously going to take me a decent amount of time. So the board did continue it to their next meeting, which is going to be on July 10th. So my assumption would be that with a draft decision in hand, the board will probably either make a decision in the affirmative or negative, and or have a lot of edits that I'll need to make, and it will get continued again. But overall, I would say that the board seemed receptive to allowing it, but no formal decision was made. But I was told to draft a decision, so.
Awesome, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on that? On the board? No?
Okay, the applicant's not here anyways.
Yeah, so entertain a motion to table this site plan review waiver
Seconded.
until our next meeting, until after we have a final decision from the zoning with the summarization and their final vote.
Sorry, seconded.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. 929, 931 Salem Street, project update.
I apologize. I added a letter to your meeting packet from last year. So I did add that. It's at the very end of your meeting packet. It's stapled at the back. But to summarize, since you didn't get a chance to look at it, which I apologize for, essentially that they had been waiting on the state fire marshal to approve their permit for the actual tanks that are going within the vault. So they had just received the okay from the state fire marshal, so they moved ahead and contracted ComTank, who's going to be installing the gas tanks. And so the mobilization of that is going to happen this week. And so, things are picking back up at the site because they had stalled out waiting for this fire marshal permit. So once ComTank gets the tanks installed, they will backfill the cement vault and pour the top, and so TEC will be on site for those two things. So that's why we hadn't received an update in a while. It's because they were waiting on the state fire marshal. But you do have that letter now, so if you want to take a look at it, it also includes the state fire marshal's permit. Just send me an email after, and I can try to answer any questions or reach out to their attorney and get those questions answered for you.
Thank you, Annie.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions on that? No? All good?
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Housing production plan, discussion of next steps. So in our packet, we have the housing plan from the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. Annie, why don't you tell us what our next steps are if we have to review this? I didn't think we needed to review this whole thing tonight. No. Okay.
So, the board a couple weeks ago, heard from the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission with the Board of Selectmen at that joint meeting on this housing production plan. And so, to formally adopt a housing production plan, the Planning board needs to vote to approve it. So it needs a formal vote to approve the housing production plan. And it's still in the draft phase right now, so just, I don't know how the board wants to handle the review, if, set a date, and if you don't have any comments by this date, the next meeting, the board will make a vote, or, unless anyone has any comments before the next meeting, the board will make a vote, or just anything like that. In speaking with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, they're doing it for many other communities in the Merrimack Valley, so there's not as much of a rush, because they are working with other communities, so we're not holding them up. If we have comments, they're happy to take and receive them and work them into the plan. But procedurally, the planning board will have to vote to endorse the plan and approve the plan.
Okay,
So-
and there's no date on that, or when?
By
What
the
about-
end of the
So you said this is the
calendar,
draft? This is the draft?
this is a final draft
Oh, final
version.
draft.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is on the town website as well.
Okay.
It's under the grants and projects, it's under the housing production plan section. So it's open for review.
Just so I understand, so they're waiting for us to review and for comments and suggestions and whatnot to potentially revise the draft, and then we would have a vote to approve it after that, or any number of rounds of that kind of thing?
Correct,
Okay.
exactly. So if the board has any comments, it will change or be incorporated, whatever, it may be. But if there are no comments, then we can just go ahead and approve it. But this is the opportunity for the board to take a look.
So,
If I'm not mistaken, there is a time limit, because they're gonna submit this to FEMA for review.
That's the hazard mitigation plan.
wrong.
You also got a presentation that same night from the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission after this one. That one, the hazard mitigation does have more of a deadline. This is just by, I believe, the end of this calendar year.
okay.
That one was a little more.
So maybe
I say we
give ourselves a month or till now, I mean, depending on when next meeting, and give ourselves a month to read through, have our own edits, questions, whatever, come back to the next meeting, have a discussion on it, and then we can kind of go from there. If we have nothing, we
Slow
can
night.
approve.
We should just,
Yeah.
a couple slow nights, just take it section by section. See
Because
how
I
far
think
we
the
get.
biggest thing that you want to really review is page 28 through 33, which is the strategy,
The what?
the strategies, the housing strategies.
Right, they outline a number of goals that they wanted to accomplish with
Right.
various,
And so if there's anything that you feel
Activity.
that you want to add or omit, this is the area that it's going to happen. I don't think anything else is really nearly as important.
A lot of the other stuff is more so statistics on
Information on
housing, which
statistics.
doesn't change.
So
Those are
that-
just stats, but
Yeah, I think that's where the real meat of it is, and what we would, if there was anything we wanted to change,
if I recall,
proposed.
I'm sorry. If I recall right from the last meeting, I think one of the things that we were talking about was there was a development in process that would change the dynamics of kind of the entire plan when it reached a certain level of completion. And we thought that that level was going to be reached fairly soon, like in the next month or two. So that would sort of change the entire discussion about what a draft might look like.
I don't know if it would change the entirety of the draft, but it would change a lot of some of the statistics.
There'll be two coming in, so.
Only one would be soon enough.
Right.
That would make a difference for this.
The,
which would be the sole-
senior housing
That-
development of 90.
That's going to take too long. We would have to push this plan off by a couple of years for that to make a difference right
You think it's
now.
going to be a couple of years with that?
To get it would, to be able to be on this subsidized housing inventory, they need to be built. So that project wouldn't be built for, if everything goes smoothly, at least between permitting, getting it approved for building permits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for minimum 2 years.
But you were saying that there was another project.
Correct. So that's the Sewell Street, Salem Street project, or the Quarry project. People know it by a couple different names. That should be receiving a building permit very soon. Though, once those units receive a building permit, that will change some of our stats. But
Should we at least conceptually, and I mean monitor to see how it goes, but conceptually think that any final decision we make about this is subsequent to that? Because it should change the dynamics of some of the housing statistics are what generate the the suggested activities.
Yeah, I think for some of them, for sure. A lot of the suggested activities are, hold on, let me pull them up. So one is integrate potential for accessory dwelling units, so in-law housing. So right now, our bylaw only allows for them to be attached, so it would be detached. So that doesn't really have anything to do with the standardized housing.
Sure.
Another one is starter homes, which wouldn't have anything to do with that.
Which ones would be affected?
So
Affordable.
the only one, none of them.
None of them.
None of our strategies would be affected by that because they're all separate. None of them have to do with,
The percentage of
yeah,
housing.
Well, that would,
because the things we're looking at are kind of more quote unquote creative, I guess, as far as strategies. We're looking at, education, getting our affordable housing trust up and running, working more with our housing authority because it's managed through the Haverhill Housing Authority, working on, private and municipally owned properties to develop. So as far as strategies, because we know that this is going to push us over the 10% for 40B regulations,
Sure.
we already knew that going into this plan. So as
Okay.
far as our true strategies, we tried to think more broadly.
When we had the conversation with the select board and Merrimack Valley, there was some type of talk of maybe making an assumption for changing those numbers so we would know. Were they planning on doing that in this report at all? Of making the adjustments of assumptions that the quarry was going to be built and we would be covered under that, the
Yes.
10%? Were they going to add that into there?
So that's what we were talking about holding off on, because right now our housing production plan does not take into account those. So right now our housing production plan doesn't, or this draft doesn't show that we meet that 10%, which
Right.
we know we will
Correct.
once a building permit is pulled, but it's not right now, and it will be before July 31st. But so the select board was talking about holding off so that this plan shows that we have met our
Okay.
10%.
Okay, so they are going to do that.
So it was
okay.
more so surrounding that rather than the strategies.
Okay.
It'll be a better snapshot of what's actually happening in Groveland right
and
now.
this will go to town meeting vote.
No. It's like the comprehensive master plan, the planning board has the sole authority to approve this. I mean, if we do approve, like when the board is ready to make a vote, it's not gonna just say housing production plan vote to approve. On the agenda, I'm gonna include the Mass General Law that's associated with it, so it looks a little more official on the agenda, but, just like the master plan, the, planning board is the sole.
No select board.
The select board will vote to endorse it, just
Okay.
like they did with the comprehensive
gotcha.
master plan.
Gotcha.
This doesn't go to FEMA like Jason was talking about. This will go to it used to be called DHDC. It's now called Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, I
So this will
think.
go to the state, basically.
It will go to the state to ensure, because there are certain aspects of this plan that the state requires. So it will go to the state to ensure that those are all in there, which they are. But the planning board is the authority that does approve this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there like a time where the state reviews and maybe sends it back for inclusion of other stuff, things along those lines?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
This isn't
10 years.
MVPC's first rodeo, so I'm very confident that they have checked all those boxes. They wrote our last housing production plan that went through and got approved by
Sure.
the state. I'm sure that they do review it,
Right.
of course, but I don't think, I'm confident MVPC.
You don't anticipate a back and forth?
No,
Got it.
I don't.
Okay.
I also think, personally, I think, comments are of course welcome, but I really like the strategies that we have. I think that they're very attainable and could also make, a positive difference for a Groveland-specific positive influence, taking into account what the town wants and is looking for. But, again, comments are welcome, so,
Okay, thank you.
know where we're at.
So we don't have we're going to discuss next meetings, but based on that timeline, maybe give ourselves enough time to read through, have comments,
Yeah. And if it's easier.
adjustments, and
if
we
it-
can email, even if we want to prior to, you can just email and write to Annie as well.
Yeah. And if it's easier for folks, I can send a Word document version of this, because I know it's easier for some folks to comment on documents within Word rather than PDF. So just let me know, and
That'd be helpful.
okay, I can do that. I don't have a notepad in front of me. Let me write that down. But yeah, I can do that.
Digital copy's always good.
Yeah. I will.
And it's on the website as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, it's on the website.
Did anyone else have anything on this?
I do not.
Brad, Jason? Jason's thinking?
No, I'm good.
No, you're good?
I'm good.
All right. Next up, we have some people in the audience. Did you have something that you wanted to discuss? You're just here to listen. All right, excellent. I like it.
Interested in the Garrison Street project.
The Garrison Street project? Okay.
We're abutters.
Okay.
I can touch on that in my planner update.
Okay, sounds good. Next up, Economic Development Committee, annual member nomination. So we have a member from the board who is active committee member on economic development annually. It is that time of year to nominate again.
So I'll make a motion to nominate DJ for the annual membership of Economic Development Committee.
I second that one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
Very
opposition?
welcome.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I just got on, last year was my first year, so still new to it.
Okay.
All right. Town planner update,
It's okay.
whenever you're ready.
So yes, last Thursday, the Board of Selectmen was notified that, oh wait, I do have a copy of it.
Select board.
Did I say Board of Selectmen?
I've done it myself several times.
I'm
now.
having a hard time adjusting.
I have to remind myself all the time.
I know, it's tough after so long. The Select Board was notified of a request for Chapter 40B project eligibility letter that was submitted to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities by the Nichols Trust, which owns 36 Garrison Street. So this is the very, very, very first step in this process. They have to essentially apply with the state to see if their project is eligible for this process. And if the state says yes, then they can move forward. If the state says no, then the project's kind of dead in the water. So this is a very early step. Some basic information on the project. It is going to be 90 rental units, all one bedroom. So 24 of those units will be for households at 30% or below the area mean income, which I'm just going to say AMI moving forward because it's easier. 50 of the units would be for households at 60% or below the AMI. 10 would be for units for households at 80% or below, and then 6 of the units would be at market rate. All single family. The property is owned by the Nichols Trust, Nichols Village. The entity that is applying for it is called Bethany Communities. They're the folks who manage Nichols Village. They also manage some other communities in Haverhill. But their typical community is not the Nichols Village type of community. They do generally do more affordable housing. Nichols is kind of their exception. This property would not have, a restaurant and bar like Nichols Village does. They will have staffing and a community room and a small library and things of that nature, but it's not going to have the amenities like Nichols Village does. They've already started working with the Council on Aging on this. They've already had conversations with them to, get their buy-in as the population for this. It would be for folks who are 62 and over. I know in conversations that they would be looking to do a local housing preference, so folks who are already Groveland residents would get a preference in these units than outside residents. Yeah, so this, again, is just the very first step. If it moves forward, the process will not go with the planning board. It would go with either the select board or the zoning board of appeals. So, again, it depends on kind of how it pans out at the state level. Yeah, I don't, it's still
They have a
very,
rendition? Do they,
I do. They did submit one. I just don't have it large right now. If you give me like a couple minutes, I can get it on the screen. Sorry.
so this is coming in as a friendly?
Correct. They're looking to do a friendly 40B process for this. Sorry, this is going to take me a second to get connected to Zoom. But I'll keep talking about it to not just have dead space. So it is going to be 2 buildings. They're kind of T-shaped. One is going to be 2 stories. One is going to be like 2.5. I say 2.5 because one is going to be like half underground. They're going to try to keep with the grading that is currently on site. They're going to be trying to stay completely out of Conservation Commission jurisdiction. They're not planning on cutting any of the trees that surround the site. If you look at the site, it's lined with trees, and they're looking to retain that and add to that buffer if necessary. They do have the amount of parking that they would need. I'm almost there. Ugh.
I take it this is all going to be kind of centered in the field?
Correct. I'm almost there. Sorry. Go away. How do I turn the page? Usually I'm better at this. Rotate. How do I? There we go. All right. Oh, okay. So that's better. Okay, so this is the entrance right here. They purposely did it so it wouldn't shine into anyone's homes.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I figured they'd want to see it. That's
No,
why they-
100%.
Yeah, that was my fault. I was fussing with it.
Hudson.
Huh?
Hudson.
No.
Those things are so finicky.
It's flashing now. I don't know what that means.
Warming up.
Yeah.
Well, the bulb's gone.
Usually it's faster than that.
Oh, you just had it.
Is that something?
There it is.
Okay. No, that was no one's fault. All right. So I'll give you a quick rundown. This is obviously not a full-fledged engineered plan. So this would be the entrance right here. The engineer said it was purposely done so that it wouldn't shine into any of these 2 house homes with people going in and entering or exiting. The loop would go all the way around. It fits all the, fire apparatuses that we have. You can see that they did delineate wetlands here. They're looking to stay completely outside of the buffer zone. So they wouldn't, with these plans, again, they haven't fully been engineered, but they wouldn't need to go through Conservation Commission filing. There's also no priority habitat here, so they wouldn't need to go through any filing with Natural Heritage of Endangered Species or MISA.
Site in town?
Say it again.
Is that the only site in town?
I know. So no turtles there. They have an emergency gravel drive for emergency vehicles if something were to happen in this area. This right here is a center gazebo area. Here, that's an underground stormwater system. Again, that has not been fully designed, so
Infiltrators?
take it with a grain of salt. Yep.
So it's 2 new buildings.
It would be 2 buildings, 45 units each.
Okay.
This is a 2.5-story building. Down here is only going to have units, like they're half underground, I guess, but like the units wouldn't I'm not doing a good job explaining this, but I'll get, I
It's
have,
okay.
I
We
have
won't
more
hold you to
photos.
it. We just, it's
Yeah.
concept.
Andy, can you I see Garrison Street, where's Fairview?
These homes right here are Fairview.
Okay.
Yep. So let's see what else I have here. So this is a rendering, of what it would look like. So here's a floor plan if anyone's interested. You can see an office space right here, laundry, community center, mailroom, library. That's the roof. That's not helpful. That's just a rendering, blah, 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 blah. See, oh, this is what I meant by like half underground. So like these units wouldn't be built because they're not going to be within the grading. It'll just have some units. Another rendering, and that's, I'm trying to see if there's a better photo, but I think,
Garden level.
no, that's just the site. So yeah, that's,
But early
long-
phases.
very much so.
It,
Yep.
once, if it's approved by the state, it goes then in zoning appeals and select board.
Correct.
Gives the
We won't even
residents
see it.
Something to look at as well.
So the planning board would be able to comment on it, but the actual permitting authority, I believe, is the select board or the zoning board. I have already reached out. The Mass Housing Partnership has technical assistance funds for small communities. The 40B process is very detailed and somewhat complicated as well. So the Mass Housing Partnership offers technical assistance to communities who are small like us and have a limited capacity. So I have already reached out for them to coordinate technical assistance for this project for us. So that is, outside parties helping the town navigate this process. Usually attorneys or other, planners or something like that help with the process. Yes. Can't really answer many questions right now just because it is such
Yeah,
early
it's,
phases.
but it's an idea, it's out there, and it's a possibility.
Yep.
Paperwork
Yeah.
for 40B.
Well, and our role would be very limited.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, you'll definitely, again, you'll have an opportunity to comment. And I should actually also say that the applicant, Bethany Communities, is looking to host like a information session for residents, that the residents, I think they're going to send like a flyer to residents, and they would have an information session, present the project, and any questions, comments, concerns, they'd be there to answer it. For ease, they're probably just going to do it at town hall since people gather here anyway, so it just made sense. We're still planning that. We don't have a date for it yet, so it would be a weekday at 6 probably.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have an opportunity for public comment if they want?
We don't really, I don't know what to.
There's
we
not
don't-
really anything in front of-
There's really
in front of
nothing
us.
that we can answer.
It's-
Gives you some,
But
What I don't understand is they have all that land up in Nichols Village, they have 90 acres. They're gonna put this facility right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and it's 6 acres. I don't understand this. Our whole neighborhood is just gonna be completely changed. I don't get why Nichols Village with all that land up there can't put this facility up there.
They're the
Yeah.
private property owner. They can do what they want. It's not for the town to tell them.
Subject to the
where they-
approval of the appropriate agencies and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, we can't, it's not our place to tell. It's
So
just,
we don't have any say in.
well, the town won't have any
No.
say if it goes for a 40B and the state goes into the state's hands,
well, it depends on if we,
if they approve it.
yeah, that's still early phases, but I mean, if, again, they're a private, they own this, we can't, if the state doesn't move forward and allow them to go through this process, then they might be dead in the water because of the state, but I don't know if, the town collectively, if they go through a friendly process, it's different, and, units can be discussed and whatnot, but,
The time
Yeah,
of
the-
discussion
we
will be
can't-
when they,
Yeah,
when
the-
they actually host.
We have a chance to say something.
It will be
Yes,
when
you-
they host.
Okay, but
She plans on having,
the plan already in place?
I'm not,
happening?
40Bs is like a whole different animal.
Yeah.
It removes, it takes all setbacks and it wipes out everything, and the state will dictate where, how to plan it. It removes us. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not sure how it fully goes, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of legal documents to it.
Yep.
It's not gonna happen in 6 months. It may take,
And Annie, you were suggesting this
Yeah.
might be like a 3-year type process.
Well, just to build, permitting per legal requirements needs to take less than 6 months. 6 months or less unless the applicant agrees to an extension. So there are very strict timelines around it. This is why we apply for technical assistance, because it is so much of a different beast than our typical site plan review or, subdivision, et cetera, et cetera. But essentially, Brad was on the money with the 40B process. Our bylaws are no longer applicable to a certain extent. I mean, they try to meet our bylaws to the maximum extent possible, but they do get waivers because they are providing affordable housing. And especially in this case, it's affordable housing for older adults, which, I mean, I hear in my role constantly that we don't have housing like this for folks. And I'm sure Nichols does at their facility, and that's why they're looking to build this. As far as why they're not building it at Nichols and they're building it here, that's not a question any of us can answer. Their private property, it's their private property. That's what they chose to do with it.
But when they originally wanted to build on our fields, before Nichols Village came up, they left that land for conservation. So why? Oh, thanks. So why is the land now available? I
It was
thought
never put in a conservation restriction.
Okay.
So it's, if you look at the property owner, it probably says it somewhere on this
I think it
plan,
was a
but,
farmhouse that went on fire, wasn't it? Back in-
yeah, so it is,
Yeah.
it's in the, N. Woodbury Nichols Foundation Incorporated, and that's the entity, I believe, that also owns Nichols Village. So it's always been owned by them. It was never placed in a conservation restriction or Chapter 97, restriction, so I don't know.
And, I mean, like you said, this is a friendly 40B, so they plan on reaching out and discussing with neighbors, abutters. You
Yeah.
guys will definitely should have your chance to speak up on that behalf.
There'll be multiple
It's
opportunities.
very, very early. No,
No.
it's very too early to know that stuff
Yeah.
yet. So they're still probably doing plans, engineering, all that stuff,
Yeah.
before they come in front of the public to say, this is what we want to do,
Yeah,
which is a process.
they're planning, they're looking at the last week of June, second and third week of July.
But you guys are smart coming in so early and gathering your information.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something, I mean, I know they reached out seeing if this room was available because they know it got on the town crier, so, they want to make sure that there's no misinformation being spread. So they're gonna try to get in front of residents to answer any questions or concerns as soon as possible. So once they solidify a date, I mean, they're gonna do their own sending out to abutters to let them know, but the town will as well. It'll be on our community calendar on the website that this event is happening in this room that day.
So once those dates are secure, those will be on the website.
Yeah, I just haven't,
Yep,
I only
haven't
got the
secured.
email today, so
Right.
we're still working out the dates, but,
You have to know, this is a lot of people are waiting to, they want to hear about it.
yep, I think people found out about it before there were really any solid plans. So there wasn't, when it's still just, theoretical, there's not really anything to share because there's not really anything, it might not even happen. So I think now that things are a little more solid and they submitted this letter to the state, it's time for them to, or time for more public information to be shared,
And
so, and that's what
I know
they're
that a lot
looking
of
to do.
people read the crier, that's how they get their information. We have a lot of people, I think, within the town that when we see something on the town website, we'll forward that right onto the crier so people can at least have instead of having to come to the town website, they're on that. I know social media is a little bit easier access for some people, so we'll forward that letter as well.
Or I'll come down to the dog park at 6 o'clock in the morning again and run it to you.
Only we get a dog, we go to the dog park.
But thank you for coming in and expressing it. Now people know.
Is that it?
Yeah, yep, yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome, thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thanks for
Have a
coming.
nice night, folks. I'm gonna leave the meeting now.
Andy, do you have anything else?
No. Again, I know I mentioned at the last meeting that 181 R School Street property. They are gearing up, ready to go, getting their certified mailings together. So that is why I would like for the board, oh wait, and there's one more thing. But when we get to next meeting, just schedule for the rest of the summer so that when they
We can
apply,
plan.
I can tell them what date to put on their notifications and everything for the public hearing. But one other thing, at the last meeting, Wally had asked for an update from the Water and Sewer Commission. So I reached out to Colin Stokes. It's the last thing in your meeting packet. He only gave this to me yesterday, but it's in there. He gives a quick update. He shared some of the press releases that the Water and Sewer Department has put out recently. And then he invited the board to join them at their next meeting, which is June 17th at 5 PM here at Town Hall. So,
You said 5 PM?
correct. Yep.
Okay. Was that it? You said one more thing, or you got both of those in?
It was just
The
that and
Water and sewer
then
and
next meeting.
next meetings, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I assume that also covers other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of the posting?
It does, yeah.
All right, good. All right, next meeting. Let's have a discussion. So, we have summer months coming up. Let's pull up a calendar. Today's the 11th. Are we doing the 25th of June? Do we have anything for that?
No.
Nothing on the docket, so we can do our July, skip right to the July meetings.
Yeah, I think so.
First-
25th of change, no, that won't change because of 181R. Doesn't give enough time.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, they're fine, because they'll have to notice in the newspaper. They're getting everything ready to submit the application, and then I think we have to have the hearing within 30 days.
30 days, yeah.
So we're, no rush there. But, so when they are ready, I want to be able to say, okay, the hearing will be this date.
Yep,
I say we nix July 2nd.
I agree. First week of July is probably not a good time. It's 4th of July week, so
Yeah.
we'll skip that week and go to July 9th.
If the board wants to stick to the first and third, it would be the
think we
16th.
should.
Okay, go to the right to the 16th, okay.
Yeah,
We've been on the we've been on the second and fourth week, or like, we've been on
Wow.
off weeks.
Yeah, because of
So,
different meetings.
yeah, just like to coordinate with the select board and everything.
Gotcha. So-
If we went to the 16th, would that be enough time for us to go through the housing production plan? And then kind of have a discussion about it?
You guys agree that's a
Or do you
month,
wanna-
a month out?
Yeah.
A month out gives us enough time to read through and
Or do you want
feedback.
to, or do you want to sort of like pencil that in for the one after that?
well, 181R will be coming up.
No, I think the
gonna be a-
16th, we'll do still try to stick the first and third. August might be a little bit different, but we'll do July 16th. That'll be the third, because we'll skip the first, being July 4th week. We don't have anything on the docket. So the 16th, and then Annie's looking for the rest of the summer too, right?
Yes, please.
So the first week of August is August 6th,
Yeah.
and then it would be August 20th.
When that subdivision comes in, it's gonna be busy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of residents.
All right, so we said 16th, yes, 30th, yes, of July.
Nope. 16th, so July 16th, August 6th, and August 20th.
Okay.
And
So
then
we
that-
typically meet first and third Tuesdays of the month.
Okay.
We had kind of been thrown off a little bit with other meetings, and
Board of Selectmen meetings.
Right, sure.
so, is everyone good with that?
Those dates are fine.
So far, so good.
I hear you.
So, and then to the housing production plan.
I think,
Goal of July 16th, and then if 181R School Street happens to pop up,
We can table it.
Yeah, we got plenty of time, there's no timeline on it.
yeah. I mean, but we don't want to kick it down the can too far.
Right.
That wasn't the right expression. We don't want to kick the can down the road too far.
For the housing? you're
Yeah.
talking? So I was thinking housing on the 16th. Come
Yeah.
back and have any discussion, and then if there is extended discussion, that we need to, move it to this, to get the
Yeah.
approval on the 6th, then we could do that. But you'd assume that maybe the 16th would be acceptable for all of it,
Yeah,
after quick discussion.
yeah.
I'm just cautioning that when 181R comes up, you remember the preliminary plan they had?
Yes.
Remember the residents?
Yes.
This is we will not be able to get the housing production plan
Okay. I got
in
you.
at
I
the
get what you're
same
saying.
time.
That's what
It
you're
was
saying. Yep.
just-
Yeah, but put it on there, and if,
Yeah,
do we
we
just
can
move
always-
it
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
next
no,
one?
yeah.
Because we have time with it. A
Correct.
little bit of time, but not kick the can too far down.
Correct. Yeah. Kick the road.
I love kicking the can.
I don't even know what I said.
Neither do we.
I do.
I remember kick the can. I used to play kick the can. It's a
Well,
game.
what? I don't even know what I kicked the can.
It was a game.
I don't.
It's pretty
Shows your
self-explanatory.
age.
Yeah.
That was the age.
But okay, so July 16th, August 6th, and August 20th for the next dates for the summer. I will send out email tomorrow, because I know Chris and Wally aren't here, just so that they're aware and they can pencil it in on their calendars. I'll also note that comments are due July 16th for the housing production plan, even if it doesn't get discussed due to extenuating circumstances. Okay, and so I'll send that email out, and
And the document in Word also.
yes, oh yeah, I already have that note down. So for the housing production plan, it's easier for you guys to make any comments. You can also,
And
Print it
the
out.
16th may, depending on zoning, but the 441 Main Street might have to be put on there as well.
yeah. So we'll just have to see where the zoning board's at with that.
Yep,
Their
absolutely.
meeting will be on the 10th of July, so we'll know before the next meeting
Yep.
what.
But that's even if the summary is done prior to that as well, right? Because that's work.
I'm gonna make sure it's done.
Oh, you are?
So
Okay.
I can not have to think about it
Careful,
anymore.
careful.
No,
You want it over with.
that one I want over with. Plus, the zoning board only meets once a month, so I really gotta, it kicks the can too far down the road if I don't get it done. But
Excellent.
anyway,
I'm good. Everyone else good?
You Good.
Yes.
Entertain motion to adjourn? Anyone?
Motion.
Motion, second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at, it is 7:43, June 11th, meeting, planning board. Thank you and good night.